Seventh graders, when last we met, we were talking about mountain building, but for the rest of the week, we'll be talking about earthquakes. So you should be able to explain what causes an earthquake. This photo shows the Mission District of San Francisco burning after the 1906 earthquake. The greatest damage in earthquakes is usually not from the ground shaking. The greatest damage is caused by the effects of that shaking. In this earthquake, the shaking broke the gas mains and the water pipes. When the gas caught fire, there was no way to put it out. Fire causes the greatest damage in many earthquakes. An earthquake is a sudden ground movement. This movement is caused by the sudden release of the energy stored in the rocks. An earthquake happens when so much stress builds up in the rocks and the rocks break. An earthquake's energy is transmitted by seismic waves. Almost all earthquakes occur at plate boundaries. All types of plate boundaries have earthquakes. Convection within the earth causes the plates to move. As the plates move, stresses build. When the stresses build too much, the rocks break. The break releases the energy that was stored up in the rocks. The sudden release of energy is called an earthquake. During an earthquake, the rocks usually move several centimeters. Rarely do they move much more than a few meters. Elastic rebound theory describes how earthquakes occur. And this is a picture to show you what elastic rebound theory would look like. Stress is built on both sides of the fault. The rocks deform plastically, as seen in time 2. When the stresses become too great, the rocks return to their original shape. To do this, the rocks move, as seen in time 3. This movement releases energy, creating an earthquake. The two important words used to describe an earthquake's location are focus and epicenter. The point where the rock ruptures is the earthquake's focus. The focus is below the Earth's surface. A shallow earthquake has a focus less than 70 kilometers or 45 miles. An intermediate focus earthquake has a focus between 70 and 300 kilometers or between 45 and 200 miles deep. A deep focus earthquake is greater than 300 kilometers, greater than 200 miles. About 75% of earthquakes have a focus in the top 10 to 15 kilometers, somewhere between 6 and 9 miles of the crust. Shallow earthquakes cause the most damage. This is because the focus is near the Earth's surface, where people live. The area just above the focus on the land's surface is what we call the earthquake's epicenter. The towns or cities near the epicenter will be strongly affected by the earthquake. The focus of an earthquake is where the ground breaks. The epicenter is the point at the surface just above the focus. In summary, a sudden release of energy stored in rocks causes an earthquake. The focus is where the rocks rupture. The epicenter is the point on the ground directly above the focus. And most earthquakes are shallow. Shallow earthquakes do the most damage. So if you can explain the causes of earthquakes, feel free to move on to the questions. Otherwise, please view the video one more time, taking notes so that you can achieve as well as possible on those questions. Thanks for being here, and we'll talk to you again later.